Run like I don't got in the state. Yeah. Run it up. Yeah.
They get that favorite status just because it's England, and there's a lot of publicity on England, and everything's embellished when it comes to England.
Yes,
they got winners.
Graham,
I ain't sure about England.
Graham, you know what I find very funny here? You were asked to pick one team, and you couldn't give us one team.
In the off season, should Kane and Haaland become available, who the guys taking?
Haaland.
Haaland.
You got to think about that. You got to think about that. Welcome once again, folks. This is the Box Score Live. We have our guests, AJ Williams, Graham Brathwaite, and newly added Hasani Evelyn from Manchester United. It seems that he in Times Square because he has a pretty background. So without any further ado, I will let you guys like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Share it to as many friends as possible, and also make some comments because we do appreciate that. We love to respond to those as well. So without further ado, let's start. Donny Van de Beek has struggled for game time this season. Is his Manchester United career over? Is he the new Davy Klaassen? Because Davy Klaassen did go to Everton, it didn't work out. He moved to Germany. That didn't pan out well. He ended up back at Ajax. So we can start with you, AJ. What was your thoughts pertaining to Donny, his future at the Red Devils?
First of all, you know I'm letting get away with that David Klaassen reference, right? I know exactly where you put that in there, Just FYI, a brief history. Dom and I have a little back and forth about David Klaassen, right? Because I was a big fan, but obviously he didn't amount to anything. So Dom takes any possible opportunity to remind me about that. But first of all, it's too early in Van de Beek's career to refer to him as a Klaassen, right? But secondly, the way you worded that question, that's a trick question. If his Manchester United career is over, did it begin? Did it really begin? What sort of playing time this man get? Manchester United just did first of all, it was one of the worst purchases for football, for strictly football related tactical. It was one of the worst purchases I've seen in a while. It made no sense from the onset, and I did not see where he was going to fit in. And it's come to fruition. They had just purchased Bruno Fernandes, and he was arguably at that time, not undoubtedly, he was the talisman of the team. And you buy someone who's coming off of almost like a career year, or just after a career year, essentially playing in that same position. He was never going to get that much playing time behind Bruno Fernandes. He's not a central midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder. That's where he made his name for Ajax, playing off of the striker and ahead of De Jong and Lasse Schöne. So he was never going to be adept at playing central midfield, given 10 minutes a game and that sort of nonsense. And there's one thing I wanted to just touch on quickly, right? So there's a string of games in Van de Beek's season. This season, for Manchester United, he was on the bench 6 games in a row. And you know what was the common theme of all these games? They were close games. United drew 2-2. They won the next 3 games by a single goal, drew another one scoreless, and then won 2-1 again. So all of these games, close games. And you know what was common? Van de Beek could not get a minute off of the bench. You know when he was getting the most minutes? The 6-2 win at Leeds came on for the last part of the game after it was already wrapped up. When they beat Southampton 9-0 and were up 4-0 at halftime, they gave him the second half. He gets a lot of garbage minutes. That's the point. So to sum it all up, his United career never began, and it's time for him to get out of there. For his own career, it's time for him to leave United. There's nothing more to achieve. He's not going to get the sort of time based on the fact that the position that he is most adept at is the number 1 player on the team at this moment. So yes, it hasn't begun, but it's already over.
That's a quite interesting take. Hasani, as a resident Manchester United fan and supporter of the club, do you feel as though Donny should look to depart the club this summer? Or is there by this time?
Definitely. Good night. Pleasure being here with you guys. AJ, you touch a lot of nail. You hit a lot of nails on the head. It was a bad bite to begin with, but I honestly believe, I think we may have actually ruined that boy going forward, mentally, physically, emotionally. I believe we may not see the best of him if he leaves United again. I think we've broken him completely. And it's just tough for a youngster who the year in front was ripping Real Madrid apart.
Doing well.
You know, doing well. It didn't come to fruition that same off season. He went back again. United come. I like him as a player. Very nice, crafty, but as you said, it didn't make sense having Pogba. I figured that the reason they bought him was thought Pogba was leaving. That was going to be a cover for in the event of Fernandez injury, to rest players to keep competition amongst the places. But then you didn't sell Pogba. So you have 3 number 10s in the midfield that you can only play one. So that comes down to the whole Ed Woodward. Then some other think, well, that's because there are games that we need a spark. And as AJ said, you might be playing garbage 10 minutes in games. So what that mentally, what is that doing to a player of his caliber? Mentally, I believe we broke him, and he's going to get himself for pennies on the dollar. So chart this out as another loss, and look at Sunny players United with a ball in or try to push to. We've broken them, and the couple of years they don't ever go on and click like that. Anytime we buy someone, they work on, we sell them. Their career hardly ever comes back to what it was.
Let me correct you here quickly though, Hasani. You said that players they've sold haven't recovered. Memphis Depay was sold to Lyon, and he's had
But he did say hardly, in his defense, he did say hardly.
I said
he
hardly
didn't say
ever.
only.
Hardly
Hardly
ever.
So
ever.
it wasn't so absolute. It wasn't so absolute.
It wasn't so absolute.
So
I know he was going to bring up the fire.
Give him a benefit of the doubt.
I'll give him a blight. I'll give him a blight for this one moment, right? So Flick, Mr. Brathwaite, you've heard the sentiments of your colleagues. Do you share this as well? Do you think there's time for him to just, pump the brakes by this time, and maybe the opportunity may arrive next season?
This is my thing, right? And I think a lot of it, given that we are playing in an international year, right, in terms of the international competition, and we both know in terms of when we see international competitions, whether it be the World Cup, the Copa America, the Euro, players that may have had ordinary seasons, may have the opportunity to do well in a tournament, and that in itself gives them a new lease on life. You know what I mean? They get extra attention. So I mean, he has the possibility. He's still a main player in terms of the Dutch setup. In terms of he will have opportunities to play there. Yes. If the Dutch have a good run in the competition and he's part of their good run, that may give him a chance. But you look at Manchester United, there's some uncertainty in terms of certain players. We aren't really sure about Pogba's future. I think that's still up for debate in relation to whether he will go or stay. And then we look at the other midfield complements in the sense that you have Matic. I don't know in terms of what Man U's intentions are with him going forward. And then you have Fred, who for some reason in the eyes of some Man U supporters, they don't always fancy him as a good player in the side. And then there's McTominay. So for me, I think that Van de Beek, while his preferred position is a 10, he still has some versatility in terms of how he can play as a midfield. So I think there's still room for him to play in Manchester. I mean, but there are other factors that have to go for it to work. I mean, first, he would have to have a good tournament in the Euros if he does go, in terms of how far they go. Manchester United's transfer plans and what they plan to do with Pogba and some of the other players that are the aging players in the squad. I don't know. You may even have a situation where there may be a change of manager. We don't know. I mean, given that Ole is still doing well, achieving targets on course to qualify for the Champions League. If it is that, for example, you hear over the summer that they're possibly looking at replacing him if he doesn't do well in the beginning of the new season, a new coach can come in and give him a chance. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's over. I won't go so far. I mean, so far he has not been given a fair opportunity in his squad. And so what AJ and Hasani said is very well taken in the sense that he hasn't been given the opportunity. But I feel based on what happens in the summer in relation to the Euros, in terms of the transfer targets of Manchester United, in relation to what players they keep and what players they sell and that kind of stuff, I think that would now give us a better understanding of whether he should stay or not. As it stands, maybe he should look for more playing time at another club. But I guess you'll have to wait in summer to see how things start up with Man U, and then you could really say, all right, yeah, you know what, buddy, you gotta look for greener pastures. This chapter closed, but I wouldn't close it just yet. It's like it's closing, but I won't fully say close at this point in time.
I think that's a great take, Blake. From what I've seen him from Donny Van de Beek, he is versatile. He's played at the central midfield role for Ajax as well, which these two guys failed to mention.
Right.
However, I want to side with AJ for most of it because the fact is he hasn't played enough. The fact matter is that Virgil van Dijk, who was injured in October, who's played 371 minutes, played more than Van de Beek has played the entire season. That speaks volumes in terms of the usage rate of a player. He hasn't been utilized by Ole much. Even coming off the international break, Ole was speaking about how well he looked in training. Maybe this might be the period where he can capitalize on a spot. But so far in the semblance in the season in isolation, there's been nothing to suggest that Donny Van de Beek will have an opportunity at Manchester United.
I guess under Ole, he probably might not have a chance.
And his confidence has been shocked. Like when he's played those garbage minutes, he hasn't looked like a player that would impact a game. And it's sad to see a player of his quality having to suffer at the helms of a manager that just doesn't see him as an integral part of the team.
His first game for Manchester United, he scored on his debut, and then from there it was downhill.
Dom, I first of all, right? I wasn't trying to imply that he's not versatile enough. However, what I was mentioning is the fact that to get the best of his best position was at the number 10. I'm not saying that he didn't play at central midfield, but that was actually due to injury to a key midfielder. So then he filled in that role, but that's not his preferred role. Like I said, his even on Ajax's semi-final run in the Champions League, his position was right behind the striker. And like I said, it's Frankie de Jong playing as a deep line, and then Lasse Schöne, who was the man running up and down.
Yeah, he was playing the box-to-box role.
Correct.
But the thing is,
I'm not saying he can't play that. But you and I have on several occasions spoken ad nauseum about clubs who purchase players who essentially have made their name in a particular position and then play them out of that position. Now I'm not making an excuse for him and saying that he shouldn't be adept at playing central midfield, but obviously there's a bit of a different nuance in playing a central midfielder to playing a number 10, right? So while he should be adept, I'm saying either way, it's not going to get the best out of him, and it kind of behooves him at this point to get a move, because his ideal position is where Bruno Fernandes is playing. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah,
his
he's not going to play that position, but some injury occurs to Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, but
the opportunity to get into the midfield.
Couple of clapbacks there for what he was saying, but a new manager who is gonna take that United job. We missed the chance.
I don't think he will be sacked.
I think United is still a very, very attractive offer for any major manager.
I got this discussion. That's why it's real, because we saying United to the net, like come and second and crashing out these competitions in between, and enough. Like Ole for me doesn't take United to that level.
He doesn't.
However, he's in second place.
And then
I don't mean nothing. That's good.
It means a lot. It means a lot.
The man needs to vet. The man needs to vet.
I can get a lot of flack for Pogba. I can get a lot of flack for Pogba. But Pogba has been especially table than playing for United. And Pogba has been pretty inconsistent at United. Look how Bruno Fernandes came and hit the ground running. I know people can say, man, he just scored a lot of penalties. He give me ball enough. Yeah, but he was trying things. I don't mind the man getting rid of ball, the man attacking. Pogba, this pretty flicks, and now Bruno Fernandes get ball, he going one way to the goal. He might give you the ball, be slack in possession, but I can see the attacking mindset. He wants to win. To me, Bruno has driven United so far along in this year and some that he's been there compared to the couple of years Pogba has been there. And last summer, United should have bite the bullet. So Pogba, work with Bruno Fernandes, and maybe Van de Beek. So there's you have competition for places. You don't have to play Bruno every game and wear him out, you know. I would love Bruno to come as Van de Beek started to settle in. Cause moving from the Dutch to England is a step up. Let me be real, it's a step up.
In terms of intensity,
tremendous step up as well.
Correct.
Listen, what to do is just sell my guy and don't kill him, please. I beg you.
Me already dead.
Donny may have to look for opportunities outside of the Premier League. Manchester United could put him on loan, you know, give him a chance to improve a lesser club. But will it really help him though?
If it was him, I wouldn't take it.
He come to Italy.
If it was him, I wouldn't take it. I would say just let me go. I don't have the thought that I might have to come back here. Just let me go.
Because a year ago, this man was reaping the interest of Real Madrid, Barcelona. Many of the top clubs was looking at this man and saying this man can be like Frankie de Jong, Matthijs de Ligt. They were coming off a stream of players that were, bordering down world-class status. You know, once they get into the fold, get some consistency in, these players are going to the next level. And he was...
If Dortmund was really interested in him, if Dortmund has significant interest in him, I would probably advise him to go Dortmund. To me, I believe as a young footballer, I like the way how Dortmund plays the youngsters. Dortmund is getting them in early, and then obviously it make profit off of them, albeit a year later, but it allows them to have a chance to get the experience. At Dortmund, they get extensive playing time at Dortmund. So Dortmund be one of the teams that catches on in summer, you know, because there are going to be some changes in that Dortmund setup in terms of Sancho and Haaland, which we'll probably get to later. But in terms of that is the perfect setup for him to revive his career, in my opinion. That's the ideal setup for him to revive his career. Because there's no pressure on him there.
I mean, it could be any club in Bundesliga, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's true.
I wouldn't just put that on.
I still feel he could play in the Premier League too, you know. I personally believe he could still play in the Premier League. I just don't think that Ole is the right coach for him. Because really and truly, this is my thing. You want the thing about coaching, right? I find Ole is his starting 11 is the only important. All the other bench players and things ain't really important. But if it's that you're building a team, you should go all men. You should have basically every player on that team feeling like, you know what, my position up for grabs. You understand what I mean? I am sure that Man U can be telling you that, with the exception of Bruno, that they can't be so pleased with everybody else in playing in midfield. I can't tell you anything. Say, all these other midfielders. Nah, boy, they ain't Van de Beek can't get to play. These men here playing good. Like, no. So I feel it is on Ole too to create competition in the squad, which in itself raises the level of the team performance. I think Ole probably not be the best one.
Another manager used to encourage that, and the ferry fan United. So
we won't go there, sir. We won't go. In fact, it seems like we are at impasse here, because I think Flick is saying that he should bide his time, maybe an opportunity could arrive.
I guess
while the rest of us are saying that he should, look for pastures greener elsewhere. But with that being said, we will transition into the next topic. So we can start with you, Flick. Best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Is it a traditional top 6 goalkeeper? Or do we have a keeper that is unheralded in the bottom half of the table that people don't really particularly look at, that should be placing the best goalkeeper in the Premier League bracket?
I mean, the best goalkeeper there's so many different things. I think there's some mentions. I think I like Schmeichel from Leicester. I like and the guy from Aston Villa that Arsenal sold. What's his name though?
Emiliano Martinez.
Yeah, Martinez. I think he's had a good season. Even the guy who recently came in for Manchester United, I mean, he's done pretty solid since he's came in. Dean
Henderson.
Yeah, I think he's done pretty good since he come in. So for me, I'm not sure in my opinion, in watching all the teams play, I think Ting had a good season so far. Notwithstanding that he took 5 this weekend. The guy from Chelsea, the keeper,
Mendy.
Mendy. So, but for me, I can't say there has really been a lot of standout performances in relation to the goalkeepers. I mean, as I said, there are honorable mentions. You have the guy from, as you said, Martinez from Aston Villa, but I can't say this season that there has been a head and shoulder. There has been one keeper or maybe one or two keepers have been head and shoulders above everybody else. I think every team has gone through some lapses in terms of defenses and some keeper errors in between there. So I think that adds a blemish to the goalkeepers in the Premier League. So for me, I would typically, I would go with the typical top 6. I like Alisson, even though he had some bad issues with decision making, but I think overall that had to do with Liverpool's performance and the mentality. I think De Gea, he had some issues going on there too. So I think that's why the guy Dean Henderson came in, and he seemed to be looking to want to hold on to that spot. Whether that be the case, we will have to see what Manchester do in the summer. As I said, the guy Martinez, who left Arsenal and said it was basically a step up to go to Aston Villa. You know what I mean? So he's done well in his position in relation to putting Aston Villa in a position to qualify for Europe. I like Schmeichel from the very moment when he was that year they won the league, and since then he's probably one of the most consistent keepers in the league. He might not get the accolades as the best keeper in the league, but he's been very consistent. But outside of those, I can't. Wow. There isn't anybody that that is jumping out at me. But that's just me. I'm sure that AJ and Hasani may have a different opinion of that.
So let me just stop you in your tracks early, right? I feel as though you're doing a disservice to Burnley goalkeeper, which is Nick Pope.
Nick Pope, yeah.
He has been the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, even though he isn't playing his trade for a top 6 competitor. Right. And the reason I've said it, even though they've conceded like 40 goals this season, which is about there are 12 teams that's conceded less, he has the second highest save percentage in the league. And in addition to,
but before you go on the stats, right? And there's another thing too that's often overlooked too, right? When you
go ahead,
depends on the team that you're playing for, right? Your ability as a goalkeeper is more emphasized. So, for example, Burnley and their issues that they're having in terms of in their position in the table and stuff. So, you talk about save percentage. That would necessarily result in increased shots. You know what I mean? So
correct. So I was getting into that.
So when you look at those kind of stats,
they're different dynamics.
Right? They paint a picture, but at the same breath, you gotta look at listen. If you got a man at defense looking a little shaky, he gonna be saving more shots than anything. Then obviously he can look better than a man. Like for example, Edison had a very good, in terms of clean sheet records and all sorts of things. But what he got Diaz and John Stones in front of him. So
exactly
record will reflect that my man got 6 or 7 clean sheets from the trot, but the credit will not necessarily go to the defense. Where on the Burnley, if the defense is a little shaky, my man gotta be saving 5 and 6 shots a day. I see this keeper look very good. So when he starts, he obviously got to take things with a pinch of salt. But I do agree.
But Dom, I want you to have some respect. You just said that Nick Pope has the second highest save percentage. I want you to know he's actually the third, right? He's actually the third.
Oh wow.
The third highest save percentage.
Statisticians coming out, boy.
He's the third.
Sir.
The statisticians coming out.
Go on.
Let me conclude, sir. Let me conclude. Right? Because shot stopping it does not only include it includes the quality of the attempt.
You said save percentage, so I was
right. I'm just saying to Flick that includes the quality of the attempt as well. I ain't just taking into consideration this keeper just taking a lot of shots at goal. I'm taking into consideration the quality of the attempts that is being placed upon him. But in addition to his shot stopping record, he is the most effective keeper. And Jay, since you wanted to fact check me, he's the most effective keeper coming off of his line with about 26 sweeper saves and a 96% success rate, which equates to about 1 a game. So he's not only being and there's an argument to be had for him to be the number 1 goalkeeper for England as well. With
he should be.
Jordan Pickford's flailing performances over the course of the last couple of seasons.
I don't think Pickford should be number 1. And then obviously you got the guy Dean Henderson looking to
Right,
Cover
but
football
but
teams.
to Dean Henderson's detriment, he's been number 2 for a boatload
Yeah.
this season, right? So that has worked for Nick Pope, and he's come leaps and bounds this year in terms of his goalkeeping performances. He's often been the saving grace for that Burnley side. So when we look at that, you know, you put all the data together and you look at his performances with the eye test, you gotta consider Nick Pope as, if he's not the best, in the semblance that most people like to say the best, being in the top 6, being in one, either Allison or Ederson or David De Gea. But in the semblance of the league, when you look at everything, Nick Pope has been the best goalkeeper, with honorable mention to Emi Martinez, who does have the highest saves percentage, yes. But in terms of commanding his area, there's been no better keeper than Nick Pope.
I think that's stats wise, but I give that's another discussion. But so Edison actually has the best in terms of save percentage. But again, back to what you guys already alluded to, it has to do with the quality and so if you look at Edison, I have stats here too. If you look at Edison, he has a 79 save percentage, but has faced 62 shots on target, like 62 shots. That's the 5 lowest number of shots a goalkeeper has faced, and 2 of them come from Brighton, because Brighton had 2 different keepers at different points this season, right? So Edison didn't really face in the shots. Mind you, he's still doing his job, but as you already said, aptly, Flick, the central defensive pairing that he has in front of him, like, and as it shows, he ain't getting no shots.
He ain't getting no shots. He ain't getting
As
no
many
shots. Really,
attempts.
he can't really showcase his
Exactly.
Not much. And to be fair, the less work he has to do for him, the better, because it keeps him fresher, and then he still makes some very good saves. No,
But
personally, right? Wait, hold on, sorry. No, before I forget what I'm saying. Personally, right? In terms of like longevity, if we're talking about over the last few seasons, like Alisson for me is one of the top goalkeepers in the world. But
undeniable.
Yeah, but I kind of want to, since we're speaking, I want to give like highlight some people outside of that, outside of the unquestionable names, right? So
Yes.
Let me mention Emi Martinez a bit more, because personally to me, he's the standout for this season. Dom, I completely understand your argument for Nick Pope, and I have no qualms with that. But the difference to me is that I think Emi Martinez has solidified Aston Villa's rear guard so much so that the entire team plays a bit better knowing that they have this kind of goalkeeper behind them. And as you can see, it's propelling them up the table, because last year they were battling relegation. As of now, look at their position in the league. Like, they actually
fighting for something.
Yeah, and I mean, I still don't feel they can qualify for Europe, but the fact of the matter is they are doing a lot better.
They got something. They're fighting down.
Yeah, they're in a position that no one expected them to be in at this point. Last game now, well, by the time this airs, that I don't think they're playing midweek, but they came back from behind to beat Fulham, and not just stats, but I already mentioned that Emi Martinez has a very high save percentage. This is 78.9 or something like that, 78.2. But outside of that, the quality of the shots that he faces, I think like he sort of like picked up where he left off for Arsenal last season, in terms of the quality of saves that he makes. So this ain't like people just getting some little Popeye shots and he just alone and taking it like a deep drive or something like that. He actually has to turn balls around the post, making acrobatic saves. So for me, his influence on the team has to have him at the top of that conversation right now.
Let me just interject you slightly here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Aston Villa recruitment drive has been actually quite good this season. When you look at, they brought in Ollie Watkins, Matty Cash, a number of players that have contributed to the overall team playing better as a unit. So when you said that Emi Martinez's influence on the team helps them to perform better, well, I agree.
I said the rear guard. Matty Cash is an attacking fullback. As you said, Ollie Watkins, striker. I talk who they really bring in defensively to show up the defense. It hasn't really been anybody except for the addition of Emi as goalkeeper. That was the main addition in the defensive phase of that team.
Yeah. But the guys made some interesting takes. I do agree with Flint on the point of the top assist. their goalkeepers hasn't been consistent this season because the league changed. The top of the table changed so much the whole season. For me, as I normally rate the bottom half keepers per se, because I think there's got a lot of work to do. Because let me be real, the Aston Villa, they don't have the star caliber players the big guns have. So their keepers have to do a lot of work. So we see them. To me, I
And this should be one of the reasons why Burnley should be propelled, because like for Aston Villa, they have Jack Grealish. They have a number of players.
Grealish has been out. Grealish has been
Barkley. They have a number of players that can perform in the attacking third. Well, for Burnley, it's been, Nick Pope, save us from this hell.
Yeah, so
wait, Burnley don't have a centre back who was in England set up already, as opposed to Tyrone Mings, who Barbados trying to get to play for them and all sort of thing. What you really telling? What you really telling?
But consistency.
What you really telling me though? Go ahead, Hasani. Sorry, go ahead, Hasani.
Consistency for me, I would say it's to Michael, Alisson, Addison. Those three. I'm hoping that United does the right thing at the Henderson to number one. De Gea was homesick for the last couple of years, and he has not been the same.
Yeah. I think he's saying to cut your losses with De Gea.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me just.
I think it's right. I think it's the right time. I even saw a rumor that saying Man U might pay out De Gea for his contract.
Somebody could get he. Like teams and probably like Real Madrid probably needs a keeper.
He gonna be back up, buddy. He gonna play with Sevilla or one Valencia or one them.
Right. You can't even call Real Madrid in this conversation.
No, I don't think he. When Real Madrid wanted him when the fax machine didn't work and all sorts of foolishness. So at
that time,
fax machine work.
We have one of them early 1970 fax machine, right?
Yeah. How convenient.
They look fax machines.
Yeah.
That's the next one. Why was it a fax machine in the first case? But that's a different discussion.
Yeah, that's a different discussion for sure.
Those three and the guy for West Ham too.
Oh, yeah, Fabianski.
Yeah.
He's been solid. He's been solid for West Ham too. So let's look at those teams outside the top six between position 8 and 12. 7 to 12, sorry. Those, and I tend to watch those keepers.
Yeah.
So conclusively,
I don't think they really have been consistent performers. Really.
So conclusively, you don't think there's a one person that has been, leaps and bounds above the rest, or just marginally? You think they're all on the same plane?
Edison probably would get the nod because by virtue, City's in front. Normally, when teams leading in the prime, once they have a very good goal difference, the keepers normally look good. Let me be real.
Mm-hmm.
He can win clean sheet awards as the most.
Yeah.
In terms of accolades.
And sadly, that's how he's rated him. That's how he's rated him. Whoever get the goal,
because fantasy has all of you fooled. Stupid fantasy for Premier League fantasy football.
The Golden Glove. When you see the Golden Glove, that's it. That's who he's. That's who the media is recognizing.
I really don't like that award.
The clean sheet award should be awarded to the entire defense rather than just the simple fact of a goalkeeper, an individual.
I guess the same argument can be made for those people who score tapping goals, like goal scorers. I mean, if you make it will be a circular discussion in relation to the same thing, because at the end of the day, football is a team sport. You are as strong as your weakest link. So much as I agree with you in terms of it should be given to the defensive unit, correct. The goal should then go to the attacking unit.
Edison was bad.
But it should be but one person can be responsible for scoring goals, but an entire defensive unit could be responsible for keeping a clean sheet in terms of suppose a goalkeeper doesn't face a shot for the entire day.
That's true. That happens.
If he doesn't have to face a shot and doesn't have to make a save,
precisely,
the clean sheet.
An argument can be made that as the goalkeeper, he was the one directing the defensive line, and that was his contribution.
You sound like a lawyer. You sound like a lawyer.
That was his contribution.
You sound like a lawyer. This is your legal representative.
Yeah, this is argument. That's what it is.
an argument can be made that he was the one responsible for controlling the line.
Brathwaite and Flick incorporated.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I just saying. But
that was a
but
good
I agree
thing.
with you, though. I agree with you. Yeah.
We can go and return right after the break. So we're back. So leading into the next question, we just recently concluded the international break. I know a lot of questions about who are the favorites going into Euros and who do you think could potentially win it. No, I can start this one off because I feel as though it should be fairly automatic. France going as favorites. They got the best odds when you look at Sky Bet and look at different betting services. Joint with England, who are both 5-1. And they had nearly a flawless campaign in terms of qualifiers where you look at what they've been able to achieve. They've started to slow down in terms of goal scoring rates. They haven't been doing well. They drew with Ukraine quite recently, a 1-1 draw, but they absolutely dominated the Ukrainians. They had a 1-0 victory over Bosnia, which again was a flattering of the French, but they still dominated that fixture as well. My thing with the French is when you look at the talent pool they've been able to garner over recent years, it's hard to not choose them. Coming in as World Cup winners, coming in as the finalists of the last Euro as well, they've done well to build the reputation of this French team. And with Didier Deschamps at the helm, who would go against them typically? Who would go against them? But I want to just make a special mention, right? This is the perfect opportunity for Belgium to rise to the fore. And this is their golden generation. There is
whoa, don't time out. Don't call my side. No. You would not have the privilege of talking about my selection. You would not have that privilege of talking.
Sir. Again, I'm saying France. However, Belgium go into this as a team that needs to win. They need to win because Hazard is in his 30s, De Bruyne is in his 30s. You have Vertonghen, Alderweireld, majority, the bulk of that squad, is on their way out. And if they want any type of silverware to mark what they've done for Belgium, I think this is their best opportunity. But again, I think they'll fail at the final hurdle. But, we can go with you, Hasani. I see you wanted to say something about Belgium. You can go on. Well, we see that he has some issues.
Yeah, he got a little bit.
So Flip, we can just go straight into you till he organizes.
Because I think Hasani going a low audio issues, but I think for me, right? I think for me, I like Italy. So for me, Italy is one of the teams that I would back to do well. Given, let me look at their qualifying campaign, they have done well. They've done pretty good, especially when you look at the UEFA Nations Cup as well. They've qualified, I think, for the last round. I stand corrected. Dom, you can tell me. I think in that UEFA league that they have set up, I think they've qualified for the last set of games. This is Italy. I think Mancini has been doing a good job in bringing back Italy to a semblance of a world challenging side, given that they failed to qualify for the last World Cup, which was a very, 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 very big deal in the sense that you have one of the premier footballing nations not qualifying for the World Cup, which is a major deal. So since that time, they were able to revamp. They were trying to get rid of some of the old guard. So they've done well in that department. So outside of Italy, I don't want to say I would leave Belgium for Hassani to discuss, but I also want to look at Spain. I think Spain is not a bad option in relation to, they have quality. I mean, in terms of the squad. The only thing that I would question is whether some of the older players, in terms of what contribution they can make. Sergio Ramos, at this stage of his career, he's injured now. I don't know what influence, if any, he can have over the Spain side. going into the tournament. But I think Spain are an outside chance. They don't come into the tournament with the best record or with the most flattering of a side. But I think Spain has the ability, if once they click, they can do well. So for me, my take would be Italy, because I'm an avid supporter of the Italian national team. So I believe that they have a good chance to do well in the tournament. I think they come in without pressure, given that, look, you don't qualify for the last World Cup and come into this tournament, you can't be expected to win. So is that you are expected to do good, just at least get out of the group stages, get to the knockout stage, and we will still be happy for you. So I think that gives them a little bit more flexibility in how they perform.
Let me just stop you. You
You
try
know what I
quickly,
mean?
right? Because you say you're an avid Italian supporter. I am an avid Italian supporter as well, but my position with France is predicated on my objectivity. Is not anything pertaining to me just being subjective.
No. That's fine. No, I understand that.
Italy on a 24 match and beating around under Mancini, they've done well. Let me say that. My only concerns with Italy is that forward line. I'm not quite sure that Ciro Immobile can take me to the brass ring. I'm not quite sure of that. So I'm just tempering my expectations on the Italian team, and I'm going with the French. I guess it's kind of a safe bet, considering what they've been able to do over the course of the last couple of years.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win it either, the French.
But Bill, jettison right into Hassani. I hear you got a lot to say on Belgium.
You guys can hear me? You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, right. Belgium's problem was the talisman. Like, Lukaku was starting good at United, then, they went with the whole Ron Pogba kind of isolating out, but now he's under a new coach in Conte for Inter, new diet, everything. Lukaku looks deadly and dangerous, and he's hungry.
He look decent.
And
Stop flattering me, sir. I feel so good when you speak. Go ahead. I enjoy it. I enjoy this moment. Go ahead.
But Dom, you know how I feel about Lukaku. You know how I feel about Lukaku. And I believe he is probably the most Lewandowski, but not really. But out of all the strikers, barring Harry Kane, England still ain't got themselves together yet with the selection. Belgium, 11 pretty much is picking itself. So Lukaku knows who he's getting his service from. He is probably the most dangerous talisman going into this tournament. He will be one to watch. I believe he could finish with most goals. Hedge in my hat, he will probably finish with most goals. So I can put that take there. He will have the most goals in the tournament going forward. And Belgium will seal it this time. They had a turn place at the World Cup right now. This is Belgium's year. As much as you were saying France, Belgium kind of pretty much fell on the radar because Kevin De Bruyne has not really lit up the Premier League as in a couple of years past. Everybody's flying on there, but the only body that breaking off the radar is Lukaku. And Lukaku is faring, and he will take that far straight into Euros. He will finish with more goals, and Belgium will beat France 2-0 in the final and win the competition.
Wow, I love this team. Wow, this is incredible. So with that being said, we can go to the resident Frenchman who you said Belgium will be in the final 2-0. AJ, talk to the boy.
Yes, I don't know if you all heard that song, but that was me throwing objectivity out the window. Screw objectivity right now. Listen, this is what's going on. You're not going to get me to say any more Allez les Bleus, man. Listen,
Allez les Bleus, man.
I've been waving this flag for years. On a serious note, though, screw the serious note. Listen, France is going to win. France is going to win this tournament. I believe that right now, like as Dom said, the talent pool that we have is one thing. I seriously though, I do get, as much as I kind of really wanted Deschamps to leave as a manager, I think he has always found new ways for the team to reinvent themselves. And we played a plethora of different formations and toyed with different personnel and getting different tactical solutions when things seem to basically start to get at a stalemate tactically. We had like the 4-3-3, the 4-2-3-1, and he just found a way to get things done, and I feel like he's done that again this time. And we still have the same personnel from the World Cup a few years back. I think that there's a lot more motivation in the team after losing the Euro, especially since Portugal are now in our group. Our first game was against Bayern Munich, but I have no fear. I'm going to beat them. and then we play Hungary and then Portugal. So that we're actually in the group of death, but I'm confident enough in the team to get through. My main concern as a fan of the team actually is the center back position, because I don't trust Kimpembe, and I think that right now he is the main partner. Well, I mean, Laporte is back, so hopefully it'll be Laporte next to Varane. But Kimpembe has been getting a lot more minutes, and that doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, because I just don't think the guy is that solid. But overall, I think the other areas of the team are sound. Dom made mention of the fact that there are a few times I think our performances are a bit average based on the talent that's on the field, but we still manage to grind out the wins. And that's kind of what you need. Like, every day is not going to be a Sunday. You ain't going to walk over every team. You're not going to have a pretty performance every day, but you need to be able to grind out wins.
And
I think
you made
that
a
team,
vital point. I think you made a vital point, because you
What's
see, the
that?
thing about tournaments is that you can be slowly progressing in the tournament, create some momentum, and then you save your best for the latter stages of
and I
competition.
think that's what happened with
And
us.
France is doing
because
that. France is doing that.
we were not very convincing in the group stage. We kind of like scraped by some of those games, if I recall correctly, and then we sort of like picked it up a bit more in the and I think that's kind of just, from what I've seen, that's kind of how we are. There are days when we just don't do enough.
I got another spin to sorry, I got another spin to add to it too, right? Because Dom did say when he made his opening statements about, on like in terms of the betting formats and the betting platforms, that they have France as favorites. My only thing would be in terms of how often do we see favorites going into the tournaments being successful at the end. And at the end of the day, I don't know how France, having just won the World Cup, how motivated, I just say they're motivated, but having that favorite tide, that in itself comes with a curse, in the sense where teams now become more prepared. Well, look, we playing the favorite, so it's like more motivation coming from your opponent. Whereas, for example, in the World Cup, while you were amongst the favorite teams to go in, you weren't the only one. Whereas in this tournament may be a little different. You may be head and shoulders as a favorite going into this tournament.
But they're joint favorites with England. They're joint favorites with England.
Let's be real. England is not really a favorite.
And let me just
mention the bookies, You just mentioned the bookies.
I mentioned
going by that metric. Going by that metric, yeah.
But but that was just an illustration of gauging who was a favorite. But I mean, let's be fair. Based on the history of England in international tournaments, based on what they've done in recent times. All right, yes, they got far in the last World Cup. Okay, hooray for England. But let's be real. I don't really consider England as a favorite, other than the fact that they get that favorite status just because it's England, and there's a lot of publicity on England, and everything's being embellished when it comes to England.
Yes.
Let's be real. I don't know if Gareth Southgate is the manager to take England to the next level. I don't know if he has that. I don't know if he's almost remind me like Ole. Is he conservative? I don't know if he's the man to take them to that level. I don't know if he has that winning mentality he can basically transpose that to his players and say, hey guys, I need you to step up. My next thing, I'm not sure about the winning mentality as the England team, the unit. You understand me? There's some players that are good or whatever. But when you look at the other teams, they may have a little bit more winning mentality. They don't have this phobia. So Belgium may be playing without shackles, or they're not a major powerhouse. Yes, it's their generation, is their generation of talent, but they can play a little bit more freely. France, they have winners. The other major international teams, they got winners. I ain't sure about England.
Graham, you know what I find very funny here? You were asked to pick one team, and you couldn't give us one team.
Never does.
Picking a team that won't win.
I picked one.
Hold on.
Did.
I feel Flick seen that they saw the lawyers going to the courtroom. Your Honor, I mean, my defendant may have committed this crime, but let's be real. A lot of people have committed this crime. It shouldn't matter. Like we have a precedent. It's already been said. Like, other people commit this crime, just give him a reduced sentence. I don't feel like you would get him off. I don't feel like you guys.
We forget one thing. There's one thing that we are on the looking. Yes, I have a Belgium France final, Belgium, but to me, I think this needs to be considered a lot for these, especially with the tournaments this year. COVID. I mean, they allow the elephant in the room. Regardless, the tournament will play. Yes, but that can seriously play a part for teams' chances
Yeah,
in the group stages, quarterfinals, round 16,
Good point.
quarterfinals, semifinals.
So remind me how these tournament is playing is cross is the teams is playing across nations. Where is it? Where is the Euro being held this year? Is it being held in one location, or is it a situation where
They can do a bubble at the NBA? The only way I can say it now is they'll do a bubble at the NBA and test every day.
They weren't
because our first game is actually in Germany. It's
right,
supposed to-
exactly. That's what he's saying. So I think because I think it's actually, and I think some games are playing at the Estadio the Olimpico in Rome. So Hasani, what Hasani
because
said,
it's held across 12 countries.
exactly.
It's
So
across, okay.
Hasani's saying it's
You know,
very
this can play a part. So why they
Definitely.
couldn't just pick 4 venues, have hotels near the venues, and play the group stages at these exclusive 4 venues in a bubble? You know, then take a couple of days, move the guys to 2 of these, or to the 4 stadiums and then play the rest of the tournament like that. Keep the bubbles.
If we knew, we would be working for UEFA, boy. Only if.
Like,
You know, but I don't know. I don't understand it either.
The NBA, to me, the NBA's model worked very well for that. I think
Or
the
even
Euros could
the
adopt
Champions League, even the Champions League format in a sense where they played it in Lisbon, and that they had the last. I mean, but I don't know. Be given that there are there's so many teams in the tournament, and given you have a specific time in terms of which the tournament will win, obviously a lot of games will have to be played simultaneously, and obviously in relation to you talk about nations and things. So I don't know how they will do the setup for having fans, because they even talk about letting in fans as well too. But you're correct. COVID will definitely have a
this can play a part. It can play a part. So my bet is hinging on everybody being fit, healthy, COVID.
Yeah.
But
all things being equal, right?
Equal, correct.
We actually don't have. I guess because we hosted the last one, none of the games are being played in France this year. None of our group stage games are in France. Hungary, I think they actually have 2. Portugal don't have any home games. But like I said, our first game, which is against Bayern Munich / Germany, is in the Allianz Arena. So
something I remember just now though, this one Flick, even though he made mention of so many teams, he failed to mention Portugal, the defending champions.
I don't know. I'm not big.
This is arguably the most talented Portugal team that we've seen in recent memory. Even more talented than the Portuguese team that won the actual Euros in 2016.
Because they got some players. They got Ruben Diaz coming off a good season, Andre Silva, Bruno Fernandes,
Diogo Jota, Pedro Neto, Renato Sanchez is finding himself once again.
Then obviously you got the Dot. So I mean, it's true. I mean, I guess
the balance of the squad, this Portugal team is pretty good.
Yeah,
but for Hasani, Belgium has to win. I think one of the most pressured teams in this tournament is that same Belgium setup.
I think Belgium is under high pressure.
They need to
high pressure, but
I think not high pressure, but I think the maximum pressure goes to France. I think the maximum pressure goes to France.
France will be the favorite.
Yeah,
France will be the heavy favorite.
I mean, and England naturally will have a lot of pressure because
there's a lot of pressure on England as well.
Yeah,
England. Let me not talk about France can cope with that pressure. They already won a World Cup.
Yeah,
they have 2 World Cups under their belt. They have a Euro under their belt. But Belgium has absolutely nothing. Nothing Belgium has. So they're going to this tournament with. There was a lot of talk about their golden generation, about all the plethora of talent they had, and they failed to win.
But you know, Belgium could be going to tournament with winners too, league winners. Because Lukaku will win the league title. He will get a golden boot in Serie A and win the league title with Inter Milan. So he will be going into the tournament form. De Bruyne is now starting to look a little back of himself. So they're not under pressure.
I find they trying to take a lot.
No, my sorry, I just have a little thing. Yeah,
I tell you, my God, see the COVID. Since you having respiratory issues, I think you really need to go get a test.
Just gotta make sure that I get myself in a low water, just to.
Yeah, I think you should. But we can go straight into the next topic. So, guys, Erling Haaland, he's been the talk of the town for the last couple of weeks. His agent, Mino Raiola, has been in Spain speaking to Barcelona, to Real Madrid, and
Flirting, you should say. He's flirting. He's flirting.
well, he has to do his job as a super agent. And obviously there are English clubs that are involved, like Chelsea, in terms of the Erling Haaland sweepstakes. Where do you see him going? And we can start here with Hasani.
In my dream FIFA team, he's my striker. In reality, I know United and Raiola have bad blood, and Raiola and that's why the Coco we as per usual with your fees.
Once it mind you increase.
Man, ching ching.
Once it
For everybody else,
Our City in the hat. Our City in the hat. You know, his father played his trade at Manchester City. Do you think that is it City? You know, where do you see him going, Hasani?
Honestly, for his career, honestly, I know I can get roast for this in the comments. I know I can feel it now. United is not the best fit for him. Sadly, he belongs at Barcelona. I could see him at Barcelona.
Pretty good.
I could see him. The football Barcelona can play. I can see the potential at Barcelona. I don't know how the money can work at Barcelona because their money is messed up, but I can see it at Barcelona.
He's the
best attacking player.
Barcelona is the best fit.
Yeah, and Messi. Kind of a torch. I know people can say man Messi, but I think a player of that caliber will make Messi job so much easier behind pulling the strings. Because Messi now can really pull the strings, knowing that he has a talisman up front. Like how it was with Suarez, you know, just going the goals can come. Haaland was fit, good, was suit Barcelona's style to play. Don't see no way out.
I got two teams.
Yeah, you know, we know Flick, you don't ever come with one team. You always come with 3 and 4.
My first team.
Okay, Flick. Hold on, Flick. Jeez. You just trying to end everybody argument. So let me do my best impression of Flick right now, right? I can just say that I think Erling Haaland fits at any club that potentially wants him, rather it be Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, because he's that good of a striker. When you look at his goal scoring record, when you look at what he brings to a club, there's no team in Europe that I believe that Erling Haaland would fail at, barring injury. Injury is the only thing that would stop Erling Haaland. The man is an immense talent, and his goal scoring record speaks for itself. Now, in terms of the absolute best fit, I feel as though there's a degree to say that Hasani is correct, but I do believe he will end up at Real Madrid. I think that's the club where he will end up going. When you look at the financial situation of all these clubs in totality, yeah, and Benzema and Karim Benzema is 33 years of age. He's teetering towards going out of the club. Erling Haaland can fill that void. Become that talent Real Madrid.
Should call him telling somebody, don't go Real Madrid. You will not be number one. It would always be Karim Benzema till he retires.
Let me say this to you
now. Go.
You see, the thing about Jovic is he's not coming with the hype and the super agent that Erling Haaland will be coming with. There's absolutely no one in the Real Madrid setup that would stop Erling Haaland from starting in that team. Absolutely no one.
I don't disagree with that. Right.
Oh,
sorry. Let me let Flick go ahead because mine was kind of.
You don't want to go before Flick?
Let Flick because my take is almost similar to yours. So let me let Flick go on.
Since you mentioned Real Madrid, I would start there because that was one of the teams I feel that he would be a good fit for Madrid. I think he has a profile.
Are we not surprised?
Right, the agent, right? The agent on what's not, right? And what Hasani is saying. Benzema, still the main striker there, but I think there's room for Haaland. However, so Madrid, we get that out of the way. However, I would say that I would believe he will be excellent fit for Chelsea. I think Chelsea right now, given the team that they have in relation to the midfielders,
Strikers graveyard.
You don't know spend money on a striker that
But-
can't
A
play back
strikers
in there.
graveyard.
But listen, no. When you talk about strikers, you ask him who's a fit for the club. I'm talking about. I think at the end of the day, Chelsea doesn't have any. All right, Timo Werner is not performing in his position as a striker. Tammy Abraham hasn't been given the minutes. Giroud seems to not have the full trust of the manager. I believe that obviously with the team that Chelsea has in terms of the Kai Havertz, the Mason Mount, the Zayads, you understand? You have a lot of quality players behind, and you have the Pulisic on one
Yeah,
wing.
but
I think Haaland personally, in terms of a team like Chelsea, he will be given a lot of time to play, because at the end of the day, it isn't to say that there's much competition in terms of the quality.
but you don't got no manager stability. You don't have manager stability, and as a player, that will worry me.
I mean, it would worry you, but I mean, I talk
change the manager on average a season. But
I'm taking strictly from the personnel standpoint in terms of playing personnel. I think Erling Haaland would do well at Chelsea. Whether he would end up there or not is a different consideration.
So let me ask you this question, Flick, because I feel as though we're letting you get away here. When Timo Werner signed for Chelsea, didn't you think that he would have been a success at the club too?
I did. I did not dispute that. I think that he would do well. I thought that he would have done well at the club. I think, and I still believe that he can do well at the club.
So however, let me ask you another question. When
he doesn't have to strike.
Chelsea, you didn't think he would have been a success as well?
Who's this?
Alvaro Morata.
I wouldn't say was totally convinced by Morata, because before coming to Chelsea, he never really had no prolific goal scoring record.
Fernando Torres, you thought he would have been a success as well. As you can see, I hear mentioning
fine.
Slate of strikers that's
okay, that's fine. But then Fernando Torres came at a very different time but if you want to talk about failing, Fernando Torres won the Champions League and he scored against Barcelona. So as much as
we speak of but
hello, but you
isolated incidents, Blake.
No, we're not talking about isolated incidents. At the end of the day, when they look at what he achieved at Chelsea, they will see he had a Premier League and he had a Champions League. So for me, success and things we can argue that's a subjective argument. But my thing, yes, Chelsea has not had a good success rate with strikers per se. They haven't had a prolific striker since Didier Drogba. But I think the setup.
How much shares that was played?
I mean, ever since. But I still feel that.
That was when Blackberry was their passion.
I still feel that.
Leave Kesman was my guy. All right. So let me get in here because because Flick could go on all night, right? No. I'll be real though, and I was saying this since Dom and I started doing this on IG Live, so about a year now. I was saying this that I wanted to see, and I still feel. And now hear me out and just let me finish. Let me get through this. Arsenal. I still feel like the best fit for him is a team that right now can't take him. But the best fit for him is in the same league he's at Bayern Munich. That's the best fit. Like in terms of personnel-wise, like everything career-wise, he's going. Like Bayern Munich is that kind of team. If you get ingratiated into that team, they will hold on to you. They're going to take care of you. As long as you do your job, you're there for life. As we're seeing now with Lewandowski and whatnot, right? And they like to take players from within the league. As a separate argument Dom and I had with the other guys, right? But the fact of the matter is that I think that is the best fit. However, at this point, they can't accommodate him. That's the reality of the situation, right? Yeah. I honestly didn't expect Lewandowski to still be this good at this point. I thought it would be at a point where we would be looking for. He still needs to score a big goal, though. He still needs to score a big goal. Anyhow, Flick, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you on Hasani. I thought that at this point, no, Bayern Munich would probably be looking to find a successor to Lewandowski, but you can't even bring in basically the level that both of these strikers are playing at. You can't have two of them on the team at the same time. Yeah. So that's out of the window. But I do believe that that's the best fit. After that, for me, I actually kind of agree with Dom, and I hate to do that, but I felt like Real Madrid was the next best place because I think they could use someone of Real Madrid can use a signing like him And I know I know our brother who is in here, Marley, says he very much prefers to have Mbappe, but I think that the fact that Mino already met with Real Madrid officials, I honestly believe that
It is a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, that Haaland to
believe
Real
so.
Madrid is more on the cards than Mbappe to Real Madrid. I honestly believe so, and I think it'll be a good fit. Kind of based on what Dom said already. Benzema is you could start a phase out, but there's nothing wrong with Benzema. He's still
Very good.
he's still playing some ball, still
Yeah.
being a leader in the team and whatnot. But I think the time has come where you can begin to phase Karim Benzema out, and in looking for a successor. Like Jovic wasn't that. You haven't really had success. Mariano Diaz is not going to be that.
No.
And whoever else you have
Junior.
there, them boys ain't going to be it. So in terms of finding a long-term successor, I feel like Haaland just fits in. And like Dom said too, there's no way that this man cannot go and score goals. Maybe Chelsea. Chelsea might be the exception. But there's no way that this man, wherever he goes, as long as he gets service, he's going to score goals. As long as somebody can take a shot.
Expected to start. Not of course. He come in. If he come in Real Madrid, he is supposed to start.
And there's no way. This is the thing. This is the thing, Hasani. There's no way. The reason, in my opinion, right, the reason Benzema starts so much is because of the disparity between him and the next best striker of that team. Yeah. If you have somebody like Haaland, you could afford to rotate the two until Benzema ain't a part of that team and he's a part of the locker room more than the starting
Benzema has a versatility to his game too, because when Ronaldo
he does.
Right. He accommodated Ronaldo, so it could be a situation
he's a very complete striker.
But as you say, Benzema's a baller. Benzema like not instead of outside of scoring goals, Benzema like to set up players too. So that's another thing.
Footballer, yeah.
The only other thing too that you will have to add to that is that I know that he has a clause in his contract that says that he can leave for like 78 or 80 million next summer, 2022.
Yes, correct.
If he leaves this summer, I hear figures like 185 and I think that Dortmund closing. And Dortmund don't sell on the cheap at all. So if you come into Dortmund, you better bring cha-ching.
So that's one of the reasons why my point was predicated on Real Madrid.
Right, so let me just add that.
Financial
situation. Let me just add, hold on. Oh, sorry.
We are looking for Dark Horse. We are looking for Dark Horse. My dark horse.
Whoa.
Dark horse.
Dark
horse?
How dark this is?
I'm trying to figure out.
Is United because of a relationship with Ole and Haaland. I know everybody can catch, but that's a dream far. That's far. A lot of things will have to happen.
Let me be clear. They got a lot of teams with United. You mean Newcastle United, Atlanta
Manchester United?
Which? Oh, you sure? Okay.
But a lot of things will have to happen right for that to happen. So that will include United selling Pogba. Adjusting the front line, because there's a need for a striker there at United.
Yeah, it's true.
Definitely. It's a hope that kills you. It's a hope that kills you.
AJ is absolutely correct in terms of the best fit, to be honest. Bayern Munich, I could see in 2022, if he was able to somehow stay on to 2022, Bayern Munich may look at the situation and say, well, that's 75 million pounds. Yeah, that's in our price bracket.
Yeah. So that's what I was just going to add. Thanks. That's what I was just going to add.
A year later, maybe we could see a bit teetering down.
Right, because that way we could phase out Lewandowski.
So then we could look at buying Erling Haaland, bringing him into the squad at that stage. But if he does leave this summer, I feel as though Bayern Munich are out the window in terms of
If it's this summer, Bayern Munich is a no.
Everything that Mino gonna so get 25 million agent fees this year. They get 10 next year. You're very wrong. Mino cashing in this summer.
And if that has the premise on him selling, then there's only one club he getting to.
Real Madrid.
That's Real Madrid.
Barcelona right now, Hasani, I take your point with Barcelona. I think that is a good fit for him as well. However, look at
they don't have the money.
Economic situation.
Yeah, they don't, that's what he's saying. Ideally,
if he
Lionel Messi would need to leave.
But Real Madrid doesn't have a high wage bill too.
Them is that a problem for them?
But Madrid can sell players like Ceballos, Odegaard. They got players that they can sell to make some sort of.
When you talk about money and problems, do not call Madrid's name.
Madrid.
No, them is print money, buddy. When you talk about money and problems,
Sir, you're going on record saying it's counterfeit.
I'm saying I said print money.
Lawyer said that
I
the
don't,
counterfeit.
no. When I say print money, I talk about print money in a very generic sense in the urban dictionary. How we talk about someone who print money. You know what I'm saying? We talk about parlance.
I mean, as a lawyer, Flick, we have to hold you to everything that you say
because I
in a
think he
literal
educated
sense.
himself.
In a
And
literal sense, because
I can qualify my statements in young people parlance. When the man say he print money, that means he got paper. You know what I'm saying?
all right, sir. I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying?
When we take you at face value and we take lawyer talk first, right?
No, it's okay. As I say, I'm not in a position to comment on whether they print or don't print money. But
Flint, just to get your final thoughts, what club you going with? By the way, because I know you mentioned about 8.
I know. For me, I
you
still
said
think
Chelsea.
Yeah, I still think Chelsea's a big thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Chelsea graveyard.
I think Chelsea.
Jeez, you could
I think
mention about
Chelsea.
12 strikers at Chelsea. You know, you're going in the grave and see tombstones.
But you think, but Diego Costa had a good time at Chelsea too. Diego had a Costa had a good
until
time
he
at
fall
Chelsea.
out with a certain manager.
Right, exactly. He had a good. And you think about it, all right. Outside of Torres and Morata, all right. Torres was a top striker when he went to Chelsea. That was bad. Morata came there.
Bit a lot of hype.
Morata, right? I think the problem with Morata was that one, the money was a lot. I don't think Conte wanted Morata because Conte wanted Lukaku.
He did.
Yeah.
Right. He wanted Lukaku. So that had a lot of things going against Morata. So that's one thing.
And let's not forget Morata is average. Let's not admit that.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Morata came there with average stats, nothing to be.
But Dom, I got a question for the guys. If Harry Kane becomes available for sale in summer and Haaland, who you think Real Madrid can take?
Haaland.
All right, we can revisit that when we return.
In the off season, should Kane and Haaland become available, who the guys taking?
Haaland. You got to think about that. You got to think about that.
Boy, I mean,
look at the ages of the players. Look at the man scoring record. Like
compared to Harry Kane.
Let me try to be fair, and I know this will be surprising. I'm going to try to be fair when it comes to Harry Kane, right? Yes,
first player.
Exactly. But I think it depends on the profile of the club that you're talking about. This is a case by case basis. It depends on the profile of the club and what they're looking to do. Either way, my answer would be Haaland. However, I wouldn't blame another club for going after Kane, but based on the profile of the players themselves, I can't see why anyone would take Kane over Haaland.
Nah, because Harry Kane is what, 28? He's 28. Yeah.
Because
and
Haaland is
20. That's 8 years that you got in terms of longevity. Harry Kane is going to be
marketability. You can market, money.
And then you look at the price you at the valuation. We look at all these other factors. Like
Harry Kane is
more affordable to buy Haaland right now than to buy Harry Kane. So you as a club look at
you'll make back more. You'll make back more with Haaland in the team than Harry Kane.
So ultimately it can be Haaland.
How much 20 euros we know that was the flavor of the month and flavor of the year that come. And then when it went to a big club, it was big club expectations. And
how many 20-year-olds you know that score as many goals as Haaland?
That got more goals than appearances in the Champions League, buddy.
This is some Ronaldo type tier. I'm not talking about
R9. There's top tier.
I understand doing is unprecedented to be
it's true.
I understand the points,
top tier numbers.
But there are some players that came from Dortmund as well that made on the big scene that didn't. Let me be honest. Correct. So posted at Chelsea has.
But they may have Haaland profile.
Like I said before, Hasani, the only thing that can stop Haaland is injuries, and that's the only thing that can stop any player.
And that man is a cyborg. That man is made of steel. If you see that man play, that man is made of steel.
And he's a lovely character too. When you hear the media talk about how he presents himself to them for questions. Like,
He's a pretty boy. Let me be real. He's a pretty boy. He got one of them pretty
He's a
boy
pretty boy.
faces.
I know about pretty boy, sir. I
Going
can't
that
go down
far.
that road with
You're
you.
going that far.
If
Rasta.
there's
You're going
something
that
you would
far,
like to
Rasta.
tell the audience, you know,
You're
we
going
go
that
open
far.
to that as well.
I know name about that there.
Hey, Lord, I want that.
Yeah, we can close off. We can close off. This is another lovely episode. Lots of laughs. Thank you, Mr. Evelyn, the man that
Appreciate it, man.
The cricket master. I know
Yeah,
that
give him
was-
a show, Mr. Bench Talk.
Bench talk.
Hasani, just say a quick, just show, big up your thing, no? Big up your thing, no? Talk about it. Just real quick, just real quick.
I appreciate the guys for having me on. You know, we do on Bench Talk Cricket Podcast, YouTube, or Bench Talk 21 on IG.
Well done.
Check him out.
Yeah.
Right,
So that's what we about here. We about love and unity, you know, combining different profiles, adding different elements to the show as well. You can always like, subscribe, Box Score Live on YouTube, Box Score Live on Instagram as well. Share some comments. We want to hear what you guys think. You know, thank you once again. Cheerio. Boom.